It is finally time, guys. I am so excited because last year I raved about this show. I absolutely loved the first season of this show. And if you've not seen it, I've got my over hour long recap of season one. So you can go and check that out, get yourself all caught up. But today starts a brand new chapter. My name is Daniel Strunk. Welcome back to QuickTime Reactions. And welcome back to Daredevil Born Again. It's so happy for me to say those words. We are here to talk about Season 2, Episode 1, which is entitled The Northern Star. Or, let me take a look. Yeah, The Northern Star. Wanted to double check and make sure that I said the title correctly. This episode was directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who have had experience in the past directing Marvel television projects. They directed a couple episodes of Moon Knight as well as a bulk of Loki Season 2. So they have quite a bit of experience working with Marvel in the past. And this is written by Dario Scardapane. It has been a minute, and I feel like I'm going to sneeze here for a second. Excuse me. Whew. I felt that sneeze coming on. All right, let's roll into the review now. It has been a little bit since Fisk declared martial law over New York and created his anti-vigilante task force. With so many of them, caught up, they're eventually going to go on trial. However, the devil of Hell's Kitchen is trying to run amok of his plans. And so, who's going to get to who first? Time will tell. I really liked how this episode started out. It starts out hot and heavy with the action. We are on the Northern Star, which is the name of the ship. And we just see Daredevil in the black suit, mind you. And by the way, Charliecox looks so good in that black suit. It looks really, really good. And he's taking out people left, right, and center. And eventually, he causes quite a bit of stir to the point where the captain and the co-captain, they sink the ship because what's on the Northern Star is a whole lot of military grade weapons. And that's going to cause a bit of a problem if those get shipped around New York undetected. And so, of course, Matt wants to cause a little bit of a stir with that. And of course, him and Karen are going to try and push that out to all the media. Especially, the good reporters that are on the scene. Like BB Urich, who actually her BB report comes back into this season. And that actually opened up the episode with, the anti-vigilante task force has made New York all the better. And then there's another segment later on with the very Max Headroomy Mayor Kingpin, saying like, oh, my anti-vigilante task force has made things better. Well, don't dig into my dealings too much, or else I'm going to have to get you killed, like what happened to Ben Urich. You remember what happened to him? I killed him. All that stuff, which I think will be a very interesting wrinkle to have throughout the show with the Max Headroom stuff. Will it play into it? We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Fisk gets into contact with someone in New York, a man by the name of Mr. Charles. And this is where the show is automatically better than season 1, because we have Matthew freaking Lillard in this show. And that makes me 10 times happier. Like, he comes in, Fisk is meeting with the Attorney General, and he just strolls in with a gyro in his hand saying, like, you know they sell like a foot-long gyro? Or no, not a foot-long gyro, a whole pound gyro over there? Oh, that's so cool. And he's just strolling in, not a care in the world. And, he just sits there and is like, says everyone's name, like they haven't properly met, but he knows everybody's name. And he even says, oh, I think you should probably take that phone call. And the Attorney General takes that phone call, and he's chatting, and then at the end of it says, thank you, Miss DeFontaine. Excuse me? Now, there's only one DeFontaine that we know of in the MCU, and that's Val. Last time we saw Val was in Thunderbolts, where she was dealing with not only Thunderbolts, but also Sentry. And before that, if I remember correctly, she was the head of the FBI, if I remember correctly. I believe that was her job title in Wakanda Forever. So it would make perfect sense that her and Fisk would, be buddies in this whole ordeal that's going on in New York. Of course they would be buddies in this situation. And of course the Attorney General, agrees to, everything that Fisk is doing in New York. Because they were going to, go in, snoop around and, to find out what was really going on. But, that got shut down real quick. We also see what the Anti-Vigilante Task Force is doing, just, doing whatever they want, not taking orders. They are actually tasked with trying to find the captain and the co-captain of the Northern Star. They find one of them, and they just punch him repeatedly, just beat him over and over and over again. And then, of course, Buck walks in and saying, you should have a more civilized approach with this. Maybe put on or get a cup of tea ready for him. And, he's like, well, what do you really want? And the captain's like, I just want to go home and see my family. And Buck's like, oh, that can be arranged. And I immediately knew what was going to happen. He pulled out a gun and just went, just shot him right in the back of the head. I figured that was what was going to happen. And then there was an absolutely awesome scene with Fisk, Vanessa, and Mr. Charles. And Matthew Lillard and Vincent D'Onofrio's chemistry in this scene is absolutely awesome. Because Fisk is the intimidating presence. But Lillard wasn't intimidated by him. Like, he just spoke plainly. And even had a bit of arrogance about him when talking to Fisk. And he was like, cracking jokes. And he got down to brass tacks and was like, look, you have all this military, equipment coming in here. That's going to be very hard to, move that very, undetected throughout the city. That's going to be a challenge. And you think you have the men capable to do that? And Fisk is like, yeah, my men are very loyal. And he's like, okay, cool. So you're going to be comfortable with, killing them after that job's done? And Mr. Charles is like, look, I can gather all my contacts, all these sailors across the world, and they can move it, and they can just disappear after, an industrial accident. And Vanessa and Fisk look at each other and are like, that's not going to trace back to us or trace back to you. And Mr. Charles is like, nope, it's not going to be anywhere near me or near you. And Fisk is like, looks like our ideals might align a little bit. So it appears as though Mr. Charles is going to be very much in the pocket of Mr. Fisk in trying to clean up all the stuff that he's been creating around New York. One aspect that I really liked about this episode was Dr. Glenn. If you remember from last season, she got messed up by Muse. And I remember, and I think I might have said this in my reviews back then, where people were kind of iffish on Muse because he didn't really get to do a whole lot, where he's like a really cool villain in the comics. And I think they utilized him very, very well here, because Dr. Glenn is kind of processing Jacques Duquesne, who we first saw back in Hawkeye, about him potentially being the swordsman. And while she's doing, the processing, asking him all these questions, she sees Muse in the door walk past. And of course, this is all in Dr. Glenn's head. And meanwhile, when she's talking with, I believe it's the state attorney, right before Jacques has his case in court, she once again sees him again, right in front of her. It is very clear that encounter with Muse messed her up. And she is more than willing to put any vigilante behind bars after what happened to her in her office with Muse. I think that is an absolutely amazing follow-up to how they used Muse in season 1 while carrying it over and telling a very interesting story with Dr. Glenn for season 2. Let's just chat about the last 10 minutes, shall we say. Cherry, who is Matt's former cop contact, is trying to help him find the captain and the co-captain. And Cherry's about to do his research when, of course, the Anti-Vigilante Task Force comes in and disrupts Cherry and his work. Cherry has also been taking a beating from the AVTF. And, of course, Daredevil comes in, tries to make the save, but Cherry's heart is beating a little quicker. Maybe even potentially having a heart attack. More AVTF forces come in, and Matt takes care of them with relative ease, but then he once again focuses on Cherry's heartbeat, and he's immediately drawn back to what happened to Foggy at the beginning of last season. And that takes his eye off the ball just enough for the AVTF to basically jump him. They have him pinned down, and they actually get off his mask. And one of the agents say, "Holy shit, that's Matt Murdock." And after that agent says that, you hear and see a whole lot of gunfire happen, and all of those agents go down. And Cherry also goes down, probably because of a heart attack. I don't know if he died, But I'm thinking that he probably did. And then to really put a cap on the episode, a knife was thrown in, and on it it said, "You're welcome," with the bullseye logo on it. So Poindexter helped Matt stay alive and not get brung in front of everybody to basically reveal his identity. So it'll be very interesting to see how this kind of, I'm going to call it as of right now, pseudo partnership between Daredevil and Bullseye goes forward. It'll be very interesting to see what happens going forward between those two. So, kind of a look forward in terms of scheduling wise, in terms of me getting these episodes out. I thought we were going to get 2 episodes this week. That is not the case. We have 1 episode this week, then we have 2 episodes next week. So probably expect episode 2's review out around the similar time, and then episode 3 will probably be the day after on Wednesday. And then probably after that point, it'll probably go to Wednesdays, my reviews of the episodes. Who knows? I might be able to get them in on Tuesdays, but probably more likely to be on Wednesdays. And after Daredevil Season 2 wraps up, we are not done quite yet, because we have the official release date for the Punisher special presentation, which is entitled One Last Kill, which will be coming out literally a week after Daredevil Season 2 wraps up. So we'll have a little bit of bonus content from the Daredevil sphere, shall we say, with that Punisher special presentation. So be sure to be on the lookout for that in May as well. But yeah, that is my review of Season 2, Episode 1 of Daredevil Born Again. I think we're off to a rip-roaring start. There are so many threads connecting to so many people that just one wrong move could literally bring the whole web down. It'll be very, very intriguing over the next couple weeks to see just what on earth happens and what powder kegs explode. So I'm just so happy to be back in this world, and I can't wait to watch the rest of this season. But until then, guys, be safe out there, and just keep, well, I can't even say keep your doors locked, because the AVTF will just come in and break those down. So just don't be a vigilante. Just don't be a vigilante, and then you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. And I will catch you guys next time.